Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. We have another great show for you today. First, a video is released from the interview of the surviving roommate, Bethany Funke. Updates on the Iryna Zarutska murder in North Carolina. Discovery of a deceased individual in a car registered to somebody famous. That ought to get your attention. An uncle confesses to aiding in the demise and concealment of his niece and nephew with relatives. Cheerful Collaboration. We have this day in legal history. We got a legal quote for you and our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it.
All right, lawyer.
Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't. Like if you do. Leave me a comment below. Hit that little bell for notifications. And yes, you can check us out anytime on any of your favorite podcasting apps. Before we get to the docket, let me remind you to go to crimetalksearch.com. Sign up for that background subscription service today. When you do, you'll be able to do a background search on anyone here in the United States. And while you have that subscription, whether you want to do 1 or you want to do 1,000, you can do it. And the report is prepared and emailed to you literally while you wait. You're going to get all types of information that probably more than you wanted to know. And it's going to have information regarding email addresses, phone numbers, social media presence. You're going to find out if they own property. Are they married? Are they divorced? Do they have a criminal history? Are they on a registry? Everything you want to know about somebody coming into your life, or, well, maybe you need to check somebody up because maybe you're just not getting a warm, fuzzy feeling about them. Go to crimetalksearch.com. You're going to be happy that you did. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been one of those busy, crazy days where you never know what's going to happen in the practice of law. You think you're going to have a nice, quiet day in the office. Everything's going to be nice and smooth. And then with the ring of the phone, guess what? It all gets crazy. And next thing you know, you wind up spending most of your day in federal court. That's the practice of law. What I love about it is never the same day twice. What some days it makes me tired is, well, you never know what the heck is going to happen. All right. So let's get to it. Open the record for Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. And first on the docket. Yes, the first interview of an eyewitness. That's right. Police have released the video of the officer interviewing surviving roommate Bethany Funke following the murders of the 4 University of Idaho students. Funke was one of the 2 surviving roommates after Bryan Kohberger killed Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonsalve, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin back in November of 2022. So less than 10 hours after the murders, Funke was interviewed for 10 minutes by Sergeant Dustin Baker of the Moscow Police Department there in Idaho. Now, Funke was obviously given an advisement and then described in detail what she remembered from the hours before the killing, while Kohberger was in the house and the aftermath. Now, Funke says that she woke up to what she thought was a firework under her door and heard Gonsalve's dog barking, but presumed it was somebody making food. Roommate Dylan Mortensen called Funke about 4:30 a.m., saying she thought she heard someone. The 2 then locked the door and stayed in Funke's room. She said, quote, "I don't really know what to think of it because sometimes we think we hear things a lot in the house, but it's usually just Ethan walking around," she said. She said, "I didn't hear screams. I didn't hear anything. I didn't really know," Funke added. Now, the pair slept together in Funke's room before realizing several hours later that their friends had in fact been killed. So what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is put the entire interview at the end of the video so you can watch it in its entirety if you choose to do so. Miss Funke's face is blurred, so you won't be able to see that, but you can hear it from her own words. She described what she described. She stated what she heard, and she would have testified to that in court. Obviously, that, along with many other things, was enough for Bryan Kohberger to believe that he was going to lose the trial, hence the reason he took the deal. And he probably had a pretty good belief that he was going to be sentenced to death. Once again, why he took that deal. All right. Next on the docket, Iryna Zarutska update. So on August 22nd, Iryna Zarutska, a 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee seeking a fresh start in the United States, was fatally stabbed multiple times in the neck while seated on a Charlotte Lynx Blue light rail train in the South End area. Now, police arrived shortly before 10 p.m. following reports of the attack, but Zarutska succumbed to her injuries at the scene. Now, the suspect, 34-year-old DeCarlos Brown, was arrested, initially charged with first-degree murder by the local police. And then the following day, on August 23rd, a crowdfunding campaign was initiated to assist Zarutska's family, including her aunt, Valerie, with unforeseen costs and their profound grief. That effort targeted to raise $110,000 and exceeded that amount by September 9th. Well, of course, the government, by August 25th, the Charlotte City Council members, including Dimple Mera and Edwin Peacock, the third, pressed city officials for swift measures to enhance rider and operator safety on public transit, emphasizing the potential impact of regional transportation initiatives. Then on August 26th, Mayor V. Lyles issued a public condemnation of the incident, highlighting the need for better mental health support and noting the suspect's apparent history of psychological challenges. Very little mention of the actual victim, who was stabbed multiple times in the neck and literally was in shock and then just literally passed out on the ground. And it took, a significant amount of time, particularly when somebody's dying. Not that she would have probably survived those wounds, but for somebody to actually come on the train and assist her, for goodness sakes. Then on August 29th, Brown was denied bond during a court appearance. His attorney requested a competency evaluation due to his long-standing mental health issues, and records indicate that Brown had prior arrests dating back to 2011 for offenses such as larceny, which is theft, armed robbery, well, that's theft with a weapon, dangerous weapon, and threats, although most were ultimately dismissed. Now, Zarutska's relatives attended the hearing and advocated for his continued detention to protect the public. Now, during the city council meeting on September 2nd, the discussions on the transit safety were briefly interrupted for a 10-minute birthday celebration for two members involving cake and sparked a little public backlash on social media. And then on September 8th, North Carolina Governor Josh Stein expressed sorrow over the loss and urged increased law enforcement's presence on the transit system. The same day, then President Donald Trump described the attack as horrible and vicious attack during remarks giving his condolences to the family. And then, as of today, the United States Department of Justice has filed federal charges against Mr. DeCarlos Brown, including one count of committing an act causing death on a mass transportation system. Obviously, the feds are going to prosecute in addition to the state, which, frankly, they should. And, I'm not going to show you the full video. You can find the full video itself, but the aftermath, this DeCarlos guy is literally sitting behind Miss Zarutska. He's there. She comes in from work, getting a ride home from work. She's working at a pizzeria. She has her T-shirt on from the place of employment, minding her own business, scrolling her phone. This guy gets a pocket knife out of his jacket. You can see him open it, stand up, stand over her, and then striking her in the neck multiple times. DeCarlos walks away. Miss Zarutska is literally like she's just in shock. She doesn't know what to do, what happened. And she literally just falls over in the seat and then falls to the floor and obviously succumbs to her injuries. Cold-blooded murder, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I understand that, Mr. Brown may have some mental health issues, and it's a failure of the system. We've talked about this just the other day. It used to be if you had mental health issues and you weren't going to, follow the doctor's orders, they would put you in an institution. And then somebody said, no, we can't do that. That's not nice, And, it's coming to the time where people may need to rethink these types of situations where, I hate to say it, but dangerous, violent people with mental health issues probably need to be warehoused somewhere so that they can't harm somebody. Now, I'm not saying going back to the 50s and 60s where we're, doing lobotomies through the front eye on individuals, but some people simply cannot function in society with their mental health issues if they're not going to follow the doctor's orders. It's a sad situation. One of the attorneys in the office has a very similar situation right now. And we're frankly at a loss of what to do. But, there's always a risk that he could harm somebody. What do you do? Obviously, we have a duty to the client who wants out. Our duty is not to the public, so to speak. But I hope the prosecutor figures something out. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. And also the feds also indicated that, you know what, we're going to see how much federal money is being spent on these public transportation systems, because if you, the states are and cities are not going to make public transportation safe, guess what? We're going to take away your money until it is safe. It's always about the money. And this is not just in Charlotte, ladies and gentlemen. I can tell you, when the last time I rode the light rail here in Denver, we were going to the Avalanche game. So it was a couple of years ago. They were in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And there were people literally doing drugs right there on the train. And everybody just kind of sits around and, you're thinking, well, I hope he gets off the next exit, which he did. But it's just done out there in the open, the drugs. They're on the trains. They do it. And we have a very similar case pending right now in our office where clients are accused of beating and stabbing somebody and allegedly stealing a bike on the public transit system. And, it's all in video. Like, what do you do? What do you do? I don't know. I'm a criminal defense attorney. I am, but I am also a member of the community and the public. And I want to be safe, because if you look at this video, this is completely random. This is everyone's worst nightmare. What if that was you, your wife, your husband, your kid, your friend, family member, just minding their own business, the complete randomness of it, because somebody said, I'm going to go, and Mr. Brown says it, I got that white girl. Scary world, ladies and gentlemen. Next on the docket, the discovery of a deceased body in a vehicle registered to a famous singer. So, police in Los Angeles, California, discovered a decomposing body in the front trunk of an impounded Tesla registered to a 20-year-old singer that goes by D4VD. I'm assuming that's David, whose legal name is David Anthony Burke. Now, the incident came to light on Monday following reports of a somewhat foul odor emanating from the car, which had been stored in an impound lot for several days. Now, the body was found concealed in a bag within the vehicle's front trunk. The Los Angeles Police Department is conducting a death investigation and has not made any arrests as of this time. The car bearing Texas license plates was reportedly abandoned in the Hollywood Hills area 5 days prior to the discovery, and evidence from the scene depicted law enforcement surrounding the car with a white tent erected nearby before it was ultimately towed away to another lot. Anyway, this David guy, a New York-born artist who has rapidly ascended in the music industry, released his debut album, Withered, earlier this year. He gained prominence through tracks such as Here With Me and Romantic Homicide, and has performed at high-profile events, including Coachella just this year, and has been a guest on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Now, prior to his solo success, he served as the opening act for SZA's 2023 tour. Currently on the world tour, his performance is scheduled in Minneapolis and many European dates forthcoming. I guess the key question here is, gee, that's funny, sir, but how did a body get placed in your car? If the owner was unaware of it, was the individual who had access to it? Going to be interesting. I don't know. Could it disrupt the European tour? Possibly. Possibly it could. So next on a docket, in a tale that defies the bounds of ordinary family dysfunction, a Georgia man has confessed to assisting in the murder and backyard burial of his sister's 2 teenage children, with an apparent enthusiasm from kin, including the children's father, a seasonal Walmart Santa, and their grandmother. You can't make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. Please meet Mark Wright, residing in the Effingham County Jail, recently pled guilty to charges encompassing second-degree murder, varying degrees of child cruelty, concealing deaths, and false imprisonment, as detailed in court proceedings. Now, the indictments from 2018 implicated Wright, his sister Candace Crocker, and her spouse Elwyn Crocker Sr., and additional family members in the tragic ends of a 14-year-old Mary Crocker in 2018 and her brother Elwyn Crocker Jr., who was 14 back in 2016. Now, the mother, Kim Wright, shared by Mark and Candace, along with her partner Roy Prater, had previously admitted guilt to murder charges back in 2020. Now, Mr. Wright acknowledged his role in collaborating with Crocker Sr. to end the lives of the siblings and in turn their remains in the family yard, a plot twist that rivals the darkest of Gothic novels. Now, prosecutors have unveiled text exchanges that illuminate the grim saga featuring Crocker Sr., currently navigating pretrial phases with the specter of capital punishment looming, coordinating with relatives during the disposal of his offspring's bodies, and one particularly chilling message from Crocker Sr. to his mother-in-law, Kim Wright, announced, "Almost done burying Marys." Her reply, dripping with misplaced nonchalance, "Cool, how deep?" A response that underscores just how far this veers from standard family banter. Further communications reportedly captured Crocker Sr. and his wife disparaging Mary, with him quipping about her having been hit in the head too many times. A remark laced with irony given the circumstances. Anyway, following Mary's starvation-induced death back in October of 2018, Crocker Sr. updated Kim Wright on the burial progress, even expressing paranoia over a slow-passing vehicle he suspected to be the police. The siblings vanished separately, Elwin Jr. in November of 2016, Mary in October of 2018, without any missing persons reports filed. A glaring omission in parental duty, don't you think? Police unearthed the bodies in December of 18 after a tip prompted a search of the Effingham County property. Questioning Crocker Sr. yielded clues directing investigators to the backyard graves, and prior reports to Child Services had flagged the family, while the children's biological mother was reportedly unhoused in South Carolina. Court testimony revealed Mary's emaciated condition, a body mass index of 8.6, perilously low, with height and weight percentiles scraping the bottom. Forensics expert Dr. Edmund Donahue described it as unprecedented in his experience, attributing her death to starvation. Now, Ellen Jr.'s skeletal remains precluded a precise cause, though both were deemed homicides. Wright awaits sentencing in October, potentially facing 8 decades behind bars, a fitting epilogue to this bizarre betrayal of blood ties. Next, this day in legal history. On September 9th, 1957, President Dwight D. Eisenhower signs the Civil Rights Act of 1957, the first major civil rights legislation since Reconstruction. Then, in this date, 1963, Alabama Governor George Wallace has served a federal injunction to cease blocking black students from enrolling in white schools. Obviously, that advanced desegregation enforcement. And then on this date in 1966, President Lyndon Baines Johnson signs the National Traffic and Motor Vehicle Safety Act, establishing federal vehicle safety standards and ruining cars forever. I appreciate technology. I do, ladies and gentlemen, but I like cars that just go fast and are simple. I have more buttons in my car than you can possibly imagine. I do kind of like the self-driving. Not going to lie, I do kind of like that. But everything else and all the other designs, ridiculous. And if you ever noticed on the road today, everything looks the same. I don't care whether you're driving a Hyundai, a BMW, a Lexus, Mercedes, whatever. They all look the same. Whether it's their SUVs, their sedans, whatever. Get rid of those things and let people design cool cars like back in the 30s, like a big old Duesenberg with some big old wheel flares. But we digress. All right. Next, how about a quote of the day? Tolerance becomes a crime when applied to evil. That's a quote by Thomas Mann. Now, the quote, tolerance becomes a crime when applied by evil, suggests that while tolerance is generally a virtue, it can become harmful or morally wrong when it allows or enables evil actions or ideologies to persist unchecked. Now, you have to remember that Mr. Mann wrote that during the time that the Nazis were coming to power, where he thought, well, people are just kind of going along with it, that obviously evil can come from it. Take the quote for whatever you think it's worth. And finally, our dumb criminal of the day. Oh, How utterly brilliant. A once trusted United States Postal Service employee has graciously admitted in a California courtroom to a masterful 3-year escapade of pilfering credit cards, debit cards, and checks right from the mailbox she was sworn to protect, all to fund her oh-so enviable collection of high-end indulgence and globe-trotting adventures. Enter Mary Ann McDermott, the 31-year-old virtuoso who confessed to the grave offense of conspiring to perpetrate bank fraud, entangled in an elaborate plot where she personally wielded many of the purloined cards with while unfloating others to her colorful associates, charmingly dubbed Ghana and One Punch, earning a modest $56,000 per year while dutifully distributing the mail from Torrance Central Post Office. McDermott thoughtfully documented her exploits on her Instagram account, aptly named Your Fakin' Mom. That's right, YOURFAWKEMOM. Your Fakin' Mom, showcasing her triumphant getaways to paradise such as Aruba, Tulum, Puerto Rico, Hawaii, Los Cabos, and Turks and Caicos. Her retail conquest naturally featured treasures from Balenciaga, Hermes, Rick Owens, Palm Angels, Dior, and Louis Vuitton, complemented by a gleaming Tesla Cybertruck and a Rolex watch lavishly adorned with diamonds. For good measure, she even shared snapshots of impressive bundles of cash because subtlety is clearly overrated. It took reports of more than 100 vanished credit cards along her delivery path to prompt the police to start investigating, the postal inspectors actually. But they did it discreet inquiry, complete with a hidden camera in her work vehicle that captured her in the act of meticulously sifting through envelopes brimming with checks and cards. And then in December of 2024, there was a raid on her residence. Officials uncovered a treasure trove consisting of 133 credit cards and debit cards, 16 checks from the United States Treasury, and 18 pilfered gift cards. Adding to the irony, security footage from the stores like Apple and Home Depot depicted McDermott confidently exercising transactions with her very cards that she had borrowed. The dual U.S.-Philippine citizen now enjoys the hospitality of the Los Angeles Federal Detention Center, where she awaits her October 27th sentencing, where the conspiracy charge could generously extend her stay behind bars for up to the next 30 years. McDermott. Jeez. That's probably what she's saying. That's probably what everybody's saying in that conspiracy. Don't mess with the federal mail, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to get you. One of the few times where I actually had a client that could have got probation in federal court, picked the wrong judge. Well, he didn't pick it. He just drew the wrong judge. He was a mail carrier, kind of like McDermott. And he wouldn't even pilfer stuff. He just wouldn't deliver it. He would take it home with him. And we were in front of Judge Mage, who was the judge for the Oklahoma City bombing trial. Here, it was held in Denver. And he was from the Western Slope. And he was quite offended. And I asked for probation. And the judge says, no way. People rely upon the mail, and if you can't trust the people delivering the mail, who can you trust? And I said, well, Your Honor, could you graciously, he imposed a 1 year and a 1 year sentence. And I said, Your Honor, would the court consider 1 year and 1 day sentence so that my client could get credit for that and only have to serve about 8 months? And Judge Mage said no, because you don't mess with the mail, ladies and gentlemen. Just like Miss McDermott, don't mess with the mail. I don't think she's going to get 30 years, but she's going to get at least a decade. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for today. Thanks for watching. We'll put the video right after this. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. And remember, the Constitution matters.
First and foremost, if you could just take a deep breath for me. I understand this is stressful, okay? All I want to do is try and get an idea of what you heard, what you saw, and any timeline, any information that you can give us so that we can try and figure out what happened, okay? So just take a deep breath for me. I know this isn't going to be easy. We'll kind of go from there, okay? Can I get your name? What's your first name? What's your middle initial? And your last name? Okay. And your date of birth?
2003.
And you live there at 1122 King Road?
Yeah.
What's the phone number for you? And what state you're in about?
Nevada.
Nevada. Okay. Do you have your phone here with you? Okay. So what we're going to be doing is taking people's phones for a little while, and we're going to try and, so because I don't know if you called anyone or made any phone calls or anything like that. What we do in an investigation like this is we try and collect as much information as we can. Okay, anything that might be small, you may not think is important for us to find out what happened, but is very crucial. So taking something off your phone might be extremely useful for us, even if it's something that you don't realize, okay? And we'll try and get that phone back to you as fast as we can. Okay, is that okay with you? Okay, so this is your phone here?
Yeah, can I tell my mom?
That's fine.
Text
That's
my
your mom
friends.
number. Yep. And then what I'm going to need is your passcode from your phone or here between the two.
She just knocked on my door, I think, during and asked if I had Murphy, and I said no.
Okay. Then what happened after that?
I just went to bed, and then I woke up and I was like half asleep, and I just thought I saw like a firework or something, like it just sparkled like under my door, and I thought I heard like something kind of fall, and then Murphy barked, but I thought people were just making like food, like, and Ethan was here or something and knocked something over because he's usually loud in the kitchen upstairs.
Okay. So what do you mean by you heard a firework?
It sounded like a little firework, and then there was like a spark. I went by my, like, I'm on the bottom floor.
Okay.
And so it kind of looked like it came down there, but I don't know.
And so is Murphy your dog?
Kaylee's dog.
Kaylee's dog?
Kaylee and her ex-boyfriend's dog.
Okay. So you heard Murphy bark right after you heard what you thought was a firecracker?
Yeah, something like that, but he like, I don't know, dogs bark at random things. And sometimes when he's happy, he'll bark.
Okay. It didn't sound like an angry growl or anything like that, just a bark?
I don't really know, I was like half asleep.
Okay.
It just sounded like bark.
So, hear the firework, kind of see a spark underneath the door. Murphy barks. What'd you hear after that?
Pretty much nothing.
Nothing.
That's it.
Okay. And you thought maybe someone was just in the kitchen at that point?
Yeah, just like someone accidentally fell into the table or something.
Okay.
And she was like with Murphy.
Do you know about what time that might have been? Do you have any
Like
idea?
4 or something. I tried to call all of them at like 4:20ish around that time, and no one was answering. I thought they just went to bed or something.
Okay. What happened after that?
And then she called me, and she said she thinks she saw someone. And I didn't know like really what to think of it, because sometimes we think we hear things a lot in the house, but it's usually just Ethan walking around. But she came, I told her to come in my room, and she could sleep with me, and we could lock the door, just stay in there just in case if there was anything, and that's all I know. And then I fell back asleep.
You didn't hear anything else?
Mm-mm.
Okay. No one else talking?
I didn't hear something.
Okay. Did you make it to your room then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What time do you think she got in your room?
Around like 4:20, 4:30.
Okay, about the same time.
Yeah.
Where's her room located to yours?
I'm the only one on the bottom floor, right by the front door.
Okay.
And then you go up the stairs, and Xana's room, and Xana's room, the kitchen, and then upstairs is Maddie and Kaylee's room.
Okay. And where's Joe?
Right by the kitchen.
Right by the kitchen? Okay. And did she say anything to you when she got into the room?
She said she thought she saw a man, but I didn't know what to think of it. I was like still half asleep, and I was like, I didn't know what to do. I don't know.
Okay.
It didn't sound like I didn't hear screams, I didn't hear anything. I didn't really know.
Okay. Okay. But notice that she didn't say anything more than she just saw someone.
Yeah, that's all I remember.